to the channel. Recently, a subscriber reached out asking for some help designing a clay cutter. Now, because this channel is all about learning and teaching, today I'm going to show you exactly how to design this cutter. It's actually a pretty complex shape, and the subscriber mentioned running into a few errors while trying to make it. So I want to show you my personal workflow and tackling this design. How to get it 3D printed, completely error-free, and then we'll put it to the test to see how it actually cuts. As always, you can grab the STL file for this project on my Patreon, completely free of charge. And if you find this video helpful and you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee or a beer at Buy Me a Coffee page. All the links are down in the description below. Now let's jump into Fusion 360 and start designing. Okay, so here we are in Fusion 360 and we're gonna start by creating a new part. And I'm gonna go create new. And we're gonna insert a canvas. I'm gonna insert from my computer, and this is the image that my subscriber sent me. And we're gonna choose this face to place this canvas. And I'm gonna say okay to this as it is. And I'm gonna have a look from the top, and I want to pretty much have a look at what this design involves. So as I can see from here, this seems like grenade in the shape of a heart, and this is the safety clip and the ring for the safety pin, and this is the actual grenade. So let's break this down into a few elements, and we're gonna take those elements and work on them individually. So first of all, we have a heart right there, and then we have all of these little bits around here, and then we have all of the inside. So what I want to do now is I want to modify this canvas. And the first thing I want to do is I want to rotate it so it lines up with vertical line. So in my case, I want to rotate this point and this point in such a way that they will line up with my y-axis. For that, I'm going to go to canvas, and I'm going to right click my canvas, and I'm going to say edit canvas, and I'm going to move it by a little bit at a time. So probably this is too much, so I'm going to go for 8 degrees, and I'm going to move it from there to there and see roughly where I am, and I think that would be pretty good. And I'm going to say okay to that. And now I want to calibrate, so I'm going to go right click on the canvas image, calibrate, and I want to take the very top point of this, and I want to take the second one, the very bottom point of this, and I want to make it about 60 millimeters. My subscriber didn't ask for 60 millimeter, they didn't mention any size whatsoever, so I'm just going to assume that this is about 60 millimeters, let's say. Okay, now I need to move this again. So I'm going to go to edit canvas, and I want to move it so that lines up with my y-axis. So the middle of the heart lines up with my y-axis. And I think that should be fine with moving this around. Now let's start designing something. So I'm going to start designing my heart first. And I'm going to start with a straight line down the middle. And this is going to act as my symmetry line, because I want to design all of these once and then take everything and mirror everything onto the other side. So let's start by taking a fit point spline, and I'm going to start from here. And I'm going to start tracing the outside of this heart shape. So I'm just going to go point by point and trace all of that. Okay, so now I can take this and I can mirror this according to my mirror line and say okay to that. And then I can take both of these two and offset them by 0.45, so 0.45. That's going to give me my first profile to extrude. Okay, so we have the heart now. Let's work on the ring, which is these circles. And I'm going to start with a circle, and I'm going to go somewhere around roughly in the middle. And this one doesn't have to be really perfect, it just has to be kind of there. And I'm going to make this circle about this big, and straight away I'm going to offset it by minus 0.45. Okay, now let's make another one. So I'm going to go about, let's say there. And I'm going to take this circle and offset this again by minus 0.45. Okay, now let's create the safety clip. So for that I'm going to choose a fit point spline, and I want to start from somewhere outside these circles, and I'm going to follow the outside line of this safety clip. So I'm going to go from somewhere there, and I'm going to start tracing as normal. And I actually want to kind of intersect this heart shape, and I'm going to keep going and trace everything normally as I would with a normal fit point spline. And again, I'm going to finish somewhere past the point where I really need to finish. So I'm going to pass this point and go all the way there. Now I can take this line and I'm going to visually check it to make sure that everything is fine. So for me, I'm just going to tidy up a bit this shape, and let's say I can move this a bit there, and I think that should be fine. So let's take this line and offset this as well by 0.45. And what else? Now on this side, this is going to create a bit of a problem when I want to extrude, especially because a bit of this will be cutting wall and the rest of it is going to be an embossing, let's say, wall. So for that I need to create a little arch here. So I'm going to take a fit point spline, and I'm going to choose somewhere a point onto this line, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to choose another point onto this other line. Okay, and I think I'm going to drop this point a bit like that, let's say, and I'm going to take this and offset this by quite a bit. So I'm going to go a bit more than 0.45. I'm going to go somewhere like 0.47, and I think that should be fine. So now when I can take these guys and just have the outside instead of having all of these selected when I want to extrude my outer wall. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's carry on with designing all of these madness here. Let's start creating half of it, and then we'll just mirror everything to the other side. So I'm gonna start by doing one of these shapes, and I'm gonna take that and offset that by 0.45. There you go, we have a profile there. And now we can simply take these lines and mirror them according to that. Now from there I'm going to take another line from there to let's say there, and from that to there. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same with this. I'm gonna take that and offset that by 0.45, and again I'm gonna take these 4 lines and mirror them also. Okay, now I'm gonna take this and do the same thing again. Okay, so that should be fine. Now let's take another fit point spline, and I'm gonna start from this corner, and I'm gonna go and start tracing this bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a straight line and just go there. Okay, so now I'm gonna take another line and go from there to, I want to pass both of these lines. Okay, so let's take all of these and offset everything by 0.45, and I think we have everything that we need to extrude to create that sharp cutting edge. So let's finish this sketch, and I'm going to take all of these profiles, and in my case I need to extend these 2 lines just so they intersect with this. Actually, I have to extend only this line, so let's do that quickly. And I'm going to go back to my sketch, and I'm going to take a line from that point, and I just want to extend that line. Okay, so let's finish this sketch now, and I can see straight away that I need some more extensions for these lines. So I'm gonna go back to the sketch, and I'm just actually gonna go around all of these to make sure that everything is connected into a easy to extrude profile. So I'm gonna take a line and connect these 2, because this is where my profile is gonna follow. So that's my outside. So in this case, if I select this, then I don't need this to be as in one. So I'm gonna take a line from there, and I'm gonna go to that point in there, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna join these 2 points, and let's go around. That's fine, that's fine, and this is fine. So I think now everything is how it should be. So let's start extruding. So I'm gonna select this profile, I'm gonna select this and this as well, and I'm just gonna go around and select everything that I need. Okay, so that is my cutting edge. So I'm gonna extrude that by 19 millimeters, and let's start extruding the inside as much as we have. So let's go to this. I'm gonna take this profile, and I'm just gonna go around and select every single profile that I have so far. And the profiles I want to extrude, actually, because I don't want to extrude everything. I don't really want to extrude that section, even though I could extrude it. It doesn't make much of a difference. And let's see, those ones and this section. Okay, so let's extrude that by 16 millimeter. Then we'll have a 3 millimeter gap in between the cutting edge and the embossing section. So if I inspect from that to that, it's going to give me 3 millimeters, which is perfect for a cutter that size. If you want to have less or more, you just adjust the height of all of these profiles. Okay, now one thing I want to do, and this is one thing that my subscriber mentioned, that they want to have a very sharp edge, and I would say to everybody 0.4 millimeters it's actually pretty sharp, and you don't really need it to be more than 0.4 cuts perfectly. But if you really want to have a very sharp cutting edge, you could print in 0.2 millimeters and you could get this very sharp. And I'll show you how to chamfer this to somewhere about 0.28, and that's basically because 0.4 millimeters can absolutely print a 0.28 millimeters line if you choose the wall generator as Arachne instead of classic. So let's hide the canvas and let's hide the sketches just to have a better understanding of what we're working with. And I'm going to start selecting all of these outside lines of my cutting edge. I'm going to go ahead and hold shift and select all of these outside lines. Now when you do a chamfer for profile that's this complex, I would always say to go with very small numbers, and especially in this case I'm gonna go for two distances instead of equal distance. So I'm gonna go 2 distances, and my first distance is gonna be somewhere about 0.15, or maybe 0.20 or 0.20. I think 0.20 should be fine. And I want to go with this. I want to go at 3 millimeters. So that will give you decent taper, and obviously this cutter will be sharper than your normal 0.4. Now, does it make a difference? Does it make any sense to do it? I personally don't think so. I do it sometimes and I showed people how to do it, but I don't think that at the end of the day you still have to clean your pieces after you cut them. Okay, so now we have a sharp cutting edge and we have a bit of the inside already designed. Next thing I want to do is I want to create a reinforcement wall for this cutter, and I also want to create a handle, a grip. So let's go back to the sketch, and I want to take all of these outside lines and I want to offset them one by one by another 0.45, so which gives me another wall. So I'm going to offset this by 0.45, and I'm going to go around and do the same thing with all of these lines. So I'm going to do those ones, offset them by 0.45, and I'm going to take these one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so now that we have a reinforcement wall, let's select it, and we can also extrude it straight away just to make sure we've done it and it's out of our way. Okay, so let's select everything that we need to extrude. Okay, and I'm gonna take this as well, and let's finish this sketch, and we're gonna extrude this by 60 millimeters. Okay, so now we have a reinforcement wall onto this, and we have a pretty sharp cutting edge. And let's do that one more time, but this time we're gonna offset the whole thing at 3 millimeters, and that's gonna give us a really solid handle to grip everything. So let's go and double click the sketch again, and we're gonna take all of these again, and we're gonna offset this by 3 millimeters. And we can go ahead again and select the outside of this. Finish the sketch and extrude everything by 3 millimeters. Okay, so let's hide the sketch and have a quick look. And I think that should be pretty good. One thing I really want to do is I want to give this circle a bit of support in the back. So for that I'm going to go back to the sketch, and I'm just gonna take a simple rectangle and just go ahead and create a very random rectangle there, and that's just for me to get a good profile just there, and say finish this sketch, and I can extrude that by 3 millimeters also, and that should be pretty solid now, and I don't think I'm gonna have any problems with that. Okay, so now I have all of these. Let's create the inside of this, and this is gonna be the last piece before we send it to the 3D printer. And for that I'm gonna go back and make my canvas visible, and I'm gonna make my sketch visible as well, and I'm gonna double click on the sketch, and here I want to create just this side, and once all of this side is created and also extruded, I'm gonna select all of that body and mirror it according to my mirror plane, which is gonna be the YZ plane right here. So let's do that very quickly, and for that I'm gonna use a fit point spline, and I'm gonna start with this middle one, and I'm gonna go from this center line. I'm gonna click once there. I'm gonna click in the middle of this, let's call it them cells, for example, and I'm gonna click in the middle of that. Then I'm gonna go right in the middle of the intersection of these I don't know, walls. So I'm gonna go right there in the middle. I'm just gonna drag it to the next middle, and the next intersection, and the next middle, and I'm gonna finish somewhere outside of this. Now that doesn't look really how I want it to look, but that's okay because I can just go back and readjust all of these circles. So I'm gonna make these circles a bit smaller, and that's gonna give me that sharp turn into my fit point spline. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. I'm gonna get that circle very, very small, and this one I can just adjust it a bit like this. Okay, And this next one also I can adjust it like this. Okay, again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same thing. I could just readjust this as much as you want, but at the end of the day, this is a tutorial, it's not part that should go onto an engine or anything, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. So let's get this line and offset this by 0.4 millimeters, and in my case it's going to be minus 0.45 millimeters. And we have a profile. We actually don't have a profile. This is why every time I create an offset and I need to have a profile, I click on the profile to make sure that's a closed profile. So in my case, it's not a closed profile, as you can see right there. And this is one of the main reasons when I create these lines, I go beyond the point that I actually need it, because when I create the offset, I want to make sure that that offset goes in the right place. So for this case, I'm just going to take a normal line and I'm going to join these two. But for the next ones, I'm going to try to make sure that I'm going to start the line not from the line itself, but from outside of that line. And I really hope this makes sense to you. So let's go and create this wiggly line here, and I'm going to do the same thing with the fit point spline, and I'm going to start from the outside and get a point there, get one in the middle and one at the intersection of these, and again one in the middle and one way outside. Okay, now I'm gonna probably move this point a bit, tighten this up so it has a sharper turn, take this one and turn it around a bit, and let's do the same thing with this. I'm just going to lift it up a bit, and now I can take this line, offset this by minus 0.45, and now if I click this, then I have a closed profile. So I'm going to do the same thing with this line. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3 profiles. We have everything we need, and let's create the vertical ones. So we're gonna do exactly the same thing but vertical. So I'm not gonna talk through what I'm doing because you guys already know, and let's just do it. Okay, so now that we have all of these mapped out, let's go to finish this sketch, and I'm gonna hide the bodies for a second, and I'm gonna select all of these profiles that I've just created, and I'm gonna extrude them by 16 millimeters as well. Okay, so now that we've extruded that, let's make these visible. and I can hide the sketch, and I also can hide the canvas. That's my body that I've just created, and I can just go and select it and create a mirror, and I'm going to use these plane to mirror it, and join is fine, and say okay. Now we do really have everything that we need to 3D print this cutter, and I'm gonna take these two and combine them just so I can have a simple body to send to my 3D printer. And I'm gonna just do a quick check to see if everything is as it should be, which I think it is. And I can see something here, so let's get that sketch back, and I'm gonna select that profile and extrude by that much. I'm gonna close that gap, and yeah, I think that should be pretty good. Okay, so let's take this cutter, and I want to export it as a STL file, and I'm gonna call it grenade art. Okay, export. Now let's go to Bambu Studio and see what kind of settings we're gonna need for this cutter. Okay, so let's drag and drop the cutter we just made, and I'm going to be using a PLA basic with a 0.2mm standard profile, and I'm going to slice it as it is and see what other changes we might have to do to get it looking really good. So as expected, because it has a tapered wall, that won't print very well. And if you didn't taper your cutting edge, if you want to use the 0.4mm cutting edge, then you should be fine. But if you taper it like I did here, and you want to have a sharper wall, it's as simple as going to activate this option called detect thin walls. And if I activate that and slice again, then my print should be pretty good. Okay, so let's send this guy to print it, and then test it on some clay and see how it cuts and see how it embosses. Okay guys, this is the cutter 3D printed, and it looks pretty good, but just looking good is not enough. So let's put it to the test and see how it actually cuts some clay. And there you go, the cutter works and it cuts pretty well. Now there are some things on these edges that needs to be tidy up, but this is very normal for a cutter, I think, and it's not too bad as in sharpness. And yeah, like I said, if you need your material to be thinner, then when you design this cutter, you can just take all of this inside of the cutter and extrude it by another millimeter or so. and then you can just cut a thinner piece of clay. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and thank you very much for the subscriber who sent me this email and this design. It was a really nice and interesting design. As always, if you like this video and if you learned something from it, please like, share and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so in the links in the description. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.